welcome back. We're making some more videos. We're gonna restart the scooter rescue project on this nice silver Buddy 50 that I've been sitting on for longer than I care to admit. I could say that life got in the way, but the truth is I got into track days a bunch on the motorcycles and then started the summer here, managed to get myself in a bit of a big accident and needed to spend some time recuperating, rebuilding the bike for that. So kind of put this on the back burner. I always enjoy making these videos, so we'll go ahead and get this started again. Now, this is a Buddy 50, like I said. It's a 2015 Buddy 50 scooter in the silver paint. It's pretty rough. I'll give you a closer look at it here in a few minutes, but I just kind of want to talk about what we'll do today. We're going to take this maybe a little bit differently than we did the last one. It's been a while since that roughhouse project, so we'll see. But I think my plans are go ahead, get the seat pulled off, get the side panels, everything exposed out so that I can get down in and I can see what's going on with that engine. The tires are hard as rocks, so it'll definitely need new tires, but I'm thinking we're gonna have to check the airbox, check the fuel, make sure that's not terrible, get the carburetor out and cleaned up, and just generally give this a rehab, starting with the motor. Then we'll work our way out again to the brakes, tires eventually, get the exhaust cleaned up and just kind of get it looking nice again. Not going to be able to do a whole lot with the body on this one. The owners before me had, they locked it up with chains, and I think those chains and just its general lifestyle meant it got beat up and scratched up pretty good. So maybe this will be my track day scooter. When I go out and I'm at Bowling Green or I'm down at Barber, if I want something to ride around, go get lunch, go to the showers, the bathroom, something like that. Could be a good use case for it. Maybe we'll send it on its way to a new owner, somebody who can make good use of it. But I picked up a Buddy 50 with a title for $300 or $400. It's been long enough, I don't quite remember. But it's been sitting here. You know, I'm sure it won't start, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, at least it sounds like the battery's still healthy. I've had it on a tender, so that should be good. Let's go ahead, let's just take kind of an overview of the scooter, see what it looks like. It hasn't lived the most glorious life while it's been here. It's been in the garage, it's been in the trailer, it's dirty, but we'll go over it. We'll talk about a little bit about what we're gonna do once we get things stripped off, and you can listen to some open source music while I go tear through it. So here's our Buddy sitting on the workbench. Did make some improvements to the workbench with these step-on casters down here. I'll put a YouTube short about that up either before or after this, depends on when I get to edit. But we can see, I love this color. I don't love the scratches deep in the paint. This panel has definitely been off and misaligned at some point, which I think we can also see when we come over here and take a look. Not sure what spilled on it, something sticky. We'll clean that up, do a little back to black. It got there. It also got it over here. Battery's exposed, but that's a pretty new battery. I do have all the covers and the mat that goes over this. I just have it off. Coming around this side, exhaust is rusty, but everything's there. I don't see any animal webs. I believe the lights all work. We'll give that a check here. A lot of spider webs, cobwebs up in here, but that's all right. These are kind of what we expect when you buy a scooter for very little money. Some more of those scratches here. Just coming in, I think, from use and the chain being draped across it when it's locked up. You know, it has these nice black footrests. They're a little chewed. Front fender is intact, just rough. Not a bad looking little scooter. Didn't notice until right now there's a crack here. Hopefully we can see it. We can see that. But I do like the black badging and the black here, black headlights around. I mean, it's a sharp looking little scooter once it gets cleaned up. Coming up here, we've got what, 6,000 miles on it? That's not terrible. Turn it on, and let's take a look. Brake light works. Left turn signal works. Right turn signal works. How about up front? Headlight should work. Ooh, big scratches there. Don't know how I missed those. Turn signals, left, right. Horn works. So, all in all, we should have a pretty good scooter. Black wheels aren't terrible, they're just dirty. But these tires, I mean, that is rock hard. I did put air in them so I could roll it up on the bench, but I don't really trust those. So before we really do anything with it, we'll make sure we get new tires on there, get that exhaust cleaned up, and just give this a good once over. Like I said, I think game plan, get this whole thing stripped off. We can store the parts underneath it and then just kind of push them around as we do things. I have a plastic bin over there, but I'll put you on a time lapse or a sped up video of everything I get to do to this. And if we find anything fun, we'll break and we'll talk about it. When the scooter's really gross like this, gloves aren't a bad idea. And I have to say, good buddy of mine, Andy, who's also donated some equipment to the channel here, recommended these to me. Permasafe industrial strength nitrile gloves from Amazon. They're not inexpensive. Box of 100, normally 20 bucks. I think I paid $15 on like a Prime Day sort of sale. Great. They have grip on them. They hold on to things pretty well. They don't tear that easy. This will be the first time we really get in and give them a good what for. But I will recommend these just because I've been very happy with them versus the Harbor Freight gloves I've been buying for so long. Never a bad idea to have gloves. I think to take the seat bucket out, we need to remove the gas cap and the oil cap. We should just pull that right out. Stash it underneath the bench. And now we've got some things you guys are going to need to see. But first, let's cap off our chemical tanks so that I don't have to smell that the whole time or make a huge mess. But let's go. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. That is a bird's nest of some sort. Rat's nest, mouse nest, I don't know. It's not great. So, these are the reasons shouldn't let scooters sit outside. I can promise this hasn't happened while I owned it, but get this cleaned out. Really glad I have the gloves now. I think I'm gonna have to roll this out and blow it off some. So, let's get all the chunks we can. There's no actual animals, which I guess is a good sign. But let's try blowing this out a little bit and blow that junk into the yard. There's kind of a lot of junk that came out there, but it's cleaning up nicely. So you can see here, this is just grimy and gross and kind of shit. So what I think I'm going to do is make sure all these electrical connections, like my little coil there, are all sealed up as nice as I can get them. I'm going to wheel the scooter into the yard, hit this with the greaser, and blast it down. So let's go ahead, we'll do that. Should just give me a little bit more of a clean area to work with. I can also hose out, you know, back up in here since I've got my caps on. I mean, things like... So what was going to be just degreasing the scooter engine turned into slightly bathing it a little bit more. We didn't go crazy. I didn't have half the parts on, but it's looking really good in here. We'll take a look and then start making a game plan on what's next. Up on the bench, and then I'm gonna scoot it forward some. There we go. Well, this is pretty darn clean. Let's take a look at that. Now, if you're like me, sometimes you start a project and you start doing something and then you realize partway through doing it that you probably should have done something else first. So in my case, I took everything out and I cleaned off this whole thing really nicely. So let's take a look. It looks pretty good, right? Look, you can see the oil tank, we can see the carburetor, even the lettering on the carburetor. It cleaned up pretty nicely in here, even back where the bird's nest was. That looks pretty good. But I should have probably taken the airbox off, because if there was a bird's nest in there, I'm afraid to see maybe it was a mouse nest, I don't know. I could look it up, I could guess. I'm just gonna call it the nest. So there was a nest in the just body of the scooter. It worries me what I'm gonna find in the airbox. But we'll go ahead, we're gonna pop that open now. Scooter cleaned up pretty nicely, actually. Let's take one more look. You know, look at that. Not great. We'll do the same thing we did on the Rough House and hit this with some Mother's Back to Black. But it looks pretty good. I just gave it a really quick bath. Nothing too serious. Really focused on the plastics here with some muck off. You should take your battery out. You shouldn't just leave your battery in completely open when you're washing it, but I did because I can. Cleaned up pretty nice, even over here. That looks pretty good. What we're gonna do is pop off the airbox and see what the hell we're looking at in there. Hopefully it's not too bad. If that looks okay, then we can start kind of making plans to shoot some starting fluid in and see if it'll fire up. I don't know, we'll find out. Okay, well so far, so good. Dirty air filter. Smells kind of like gas. Carburetor we can see up in there. Let's get a little more light. So, everything looks pretty good. There's no mess in the airbox. See right down in the carb? This is a really good start for the scooter. Let's try starting the scooter now that we've got this opened up and see if we get anywhere. A little bit of the sauce, because who knows the last time this thing ran. Not a bad sign. Give it a little more sauce. Hard doing this with one person sometimes. Okay, little life breathed into it. At least it runs, sort of. That counts for something. I think the next step is take the carburetor off and give it a thorough once over, a cleaning. Hopefully we don't have to replace it like we did on that Rough House with all the sand. But I'm pretty happy with the way this is going.